February 17th, 1530, the army of Charles V had Florence under siege for months. Even if exhausted and drained, the Florentines decided to organize a game of Calcio Storico to show their enemy how relentless their souls were. Today, almost 500 years later, a different enemy seizes the city and the entire world. And Florence, once again, is ready to prove how fierce the spirit of this city is. 54 men will show us what determination, courage, and sacrifice looks like. On these grounds, we don't give up. On these grounds, we keep on fighting. From Piazza Santa Croce in Florence, Italy, welcome from Dario Valli
and Nicole Disegni.
It's game day. So, finally, we're back after the cancellation of the tournament of last year. We're back on the sand and to finally have this wonderful gameplay again. And I refer it as a game because it's not really a sport. There's probably too few rules to consider it a sport. And these rules go back hundreds of years. And so there's a long history of this game that goes back to the 1400s. And so we'll try to hear from the director of the Corteo of the Calcio Storico, Filippo Giovannelli, the great history of this game.
Lo storico fiorentino nasce nel 1930 a ricordo di una famosa partita giocata il 17 febbraio del 1530, quindi 400 anni addietro, e dove Firenze era assediata dall'esercito di Carlo V, un esercito imponente. Si diceva che nel territorio non tramontasse mai il sole. La piccola Firenze affronta l'esercito di Carlo V, Davide contro Golia. I fiorentini scesero dalle mura, lasciarono le difese della città, fecero un imponente corteo e accompagnarono due squadre di calcianti a giocare la famosa partita tra bianchi e verdi il 17 febbraio di quell'anno. Fu una partita memorabile, scritta nei dettami di storia, e ce lo siamo portati fino adesso. Nel 1930 appunto inizia un percorso moderno di gioco del calcio fiorentino che ci porta fino ad oggi a vedere 4 squadre di 4 colori che si contendono una vitella di razza chianina. Quest'anno giocheremo una partita, la giochiamo oggi, giochiamo una partita tra Azzurri e Verdi, una partita che rimarrà nella storia per il periodo storico in cui viene giocata e perché la situazione che stiamo vivendo è un momento di particolare solennità. Questa partita rimarrà nella storia come unica partita giocata senza pubblico. Il pubblico sarà composto da tutti i personaggi in costume rinascimentale che compongono l'esercito della Repubblica Fiorentina, che si posizioneranno intorno al campo. Ricostruiremo una scenografia, una rievocazione storica più attinente al verosimile del passato. Oggi è una grande giornata, rimarrà nella storia.
I'm here with Dario Valli, a calciante, who is not playing today, but is here with us. And how does it feel to be back on the sand and commenting with us on the other side?
Well, it's always hard to stay out. It's always hard not to play. But every time I set foot on this sand, it's always something special. But playing or not playing. And I get goosebumps every time I set foot in this stand. And, this is a game that once it gets into your veins, it stays in there forever. So it's very, very hard to stay out. I'll do my best to walk through you guys and people that are following us today through this game, this final, and I'll do my best to transmit the emotions to everyone and see what's going to be like.
Yes, and we are playing without an audience, so it's pretty different, we know. It's indeed a sacrifice, but what is the message that we can give to our fellow Florentinians and to the people who are following us today around the world?
Well, we did it in the opening. I said it in the opening. This is an opening statement. This is something that goes back so far away. And this game, the game we're playing today, is a game that brings back the famous game of 1530 that the city played under the siege of the enemy. So this, I think, it could be a signal for everyone that we're still here. Keep on fighting. This is the essence of this sport. You know, we give everything we have, and we try to stand up and face every adversity as the best as we can.
Sure, and this sport who has 5 centuries of history, what can we say to the people that,
we're trying to get
yes, the mayor.
The mayor, so
yes,
all improvise. So
sure.
I'll have the mayor. I'll leave the mayor. I'm sure he's got many important things to say, and I'll leave the ground to you.
Yes, I have the pleasure. Good morning, to Mr. Dario Nardella. I have the pleasure to introduce to you the mayor of Florence, and just a couple questions about today. And first of all, it is a sacrifice to play without an audience today, and but this is the response, the answer of a city that wants to restart. What is the message as a mayor to the people who are following us today and to the fellow people of Florence?
So for us, the Calcio Storico, Calcio in Costume, is a symbol of passion, identity, tradition, but also courage. And we want to underline that now we are living not only a restart, but also a rebirth. And we are very proud for this first step, obviously without public, but thanks to you, we can show our tradition, our wonderful city to all people across the world. And for us, this is the first step, and we hope really from our heart to restart really next year with the public in Piazza Santa Croce.
Sure, and what can we say to the people around the world who don't know precisely Calcio Storico Fiorentino? The roots are very ancient. 5 centuries ago, Calcio Storico Fiorentino started. How can we explain it to people who don't know?
Yes, for us, the modern football, soccer, was born in Florence, because during a famous siege of the city, in 5030, in February 5030, so in the heart of Renaissance, Florentine people decided to organize a big day, a big public party with games and events, and they transformed an old tradition, so the game with the ball, in a tournament, in a real tournament, with 4 quarters represented by 4 different colors: red, white, blue, and green. And since this moment, so 1513, so in 16th century, we continue each year to play this tournament. In the last century, the final match of the tournament is established in the patron day, so San John Baptist, which is the protector of Florence, in June 24th, is also the day of the final of Calcio Storico tournament. And now we keep this tradition thanks to passion and involvement of all these 4 quarters. And we have also a school to explain to young generation how important is this tradition exactly. And we have many kids who want to learn this play, which is a strong game, but at the same time is a fair play, because the players has to respect strongly all the rules.
Okay, thank you very much to the Mayor of Florence, Mr. Dario Nardella. Thank you very much. Now, Pierluigi. Pierluigi, yes. Okay. Yes, I want to introduce you the president of Calcio Storico Fiorentino, Michele Pierguidi. Voglio introdurvi il presidente del Calcio Storico Fiorentino, Michele Pierguidi. A question: how did you prepare for this challenging match without an audience in this difficult year? Come vi siete preparati quest'anno, che è stato, lo sappiamo, diverso, per affrontare poi quella che è la finale di oggi?
Ci siamo preparati forse più di tutti gli altri anni, perché è stata una cosa molto lunga. Di solito il torneo lo giochiamo a giugno, quest'anno i colori hanno deciso di giocarlo a settembre per dare ai calcianti modo di allenarsi. Abbiamo avuto un po' di problemi, 2 colori non hanno giocato, ma Verdi e Azzurri daranno un grande spettacolo. Sono tutti calcianti che sono allenati per 3 mesi, 4 mesi di seguito, sono stati tutti controllati contro il Covid-19 e c'è stato anche questo aggravio. Ci dispiace tanto che non ci sia il pubblico, speriamo che possa godere dello spettacolo anche dato da voi e dalla vostra organizzazione, che penso farà un bel servizio al Calcio Storico Fiorentino.
So we said that everything is different this year, so the date of the final is usually in June, now we are in September, so they had to prepare more compared to the past years, but they are here to give it all, so we'll see. They are ready and they want to show to the world this amazing sport that is Calcio Storico Fiorentino. Thank you, grazie al Presidente. And now we are airing our interviews to the Azzurri. Take a look at the interview of yesterday to the Azzurri. Thank you.
So we are here with the coach Gregorio Ciampa just for a question about tomorrow. There is a very important match. How did you prepare in this challenging year, especially in your role as a coach? Quindi volevo chiedere qui all'allenatore come si è preparato, come vi siete preparati in quest'anno comunque molto difficoltoso, e soprattutto considerando il tuo ruolo di allenatore.
Allora, la preparazione che abbiamo fatto viene da un progetto che abbiamo preso insieme, quindi da ex giocatore mi è stato dato l'onore di allenare il colore in cui giocavo. Il progetto è partito e l'obiettivo di entrare in campo era ben visibile a tutti, e abbiamo lavorato su questo, cioè riportare i ragazzi in campo, tenerli insieme, qualcosa che c'era bisogno a livello generale, quindi vivere in qualche modo il fatto di essere una famiglia, di essere vicini e poter stare insieme. Questo ci ha portato alla vigilia della partita. Un gruppo giovane che ha ascoltato molto, mi ha seguito insieme a qualche altra persona di esperienza, e speriamo che domani sia una bella partita, ce lo meritiamo un po' tutti, Firenze e tutti i ragazzi, sia noi che gli avversari. Ne abbiamo bisogno. Abbiamo proprio fatto una scelta importante, non semplice, perché logicamente le difficoltà ci sono state, ce ne state tante, ma come superi le difficoltà in campo, le abbiamo superate portando il progetto alla conclusione, perché domani vedremo se tutto il lavoro fatto è stato fatto bene e valuteremo cosa c'è da migliorare e quello che non va rifatto. Questo è l'obiettivo che parte da parte mia, dato ovviamente con il supporto dello staff e del consiglio degli Azzurri, che, come ho detto, con grande onore mi ha dato la possibilità di di mettermi in gioco insieme ai ragazzi che qualcuno non conoscevo nemmeno, ma che ho imparato a conoscere con piacere.
Okay, so to sum up, he told us about the work as a family. They were able in these challenging times to come together, to stick together in these difficult times, and to find what they love the most, just play for the Azzurri in this case. So it was a challenging year, but they are working as a family and they cannot wait to see the results of the hard work tomorrow. So we will see the results tomorrow. So we are here with Maurizio Matta, the president of the Azzurri, and I wanted to ask you, Maurizio, how did you prepare for the final of tomorrow and in this challenging year, most of all considering your role as president of the Azzurri? Sono qui con Maurizio, il presidente degli Azzurri, e volevo chiederti come vi siete preparati in quest'anno molto difficile e come poi ti sei avvicinato e sei diventato presidente della squadra.
Allora, mi sono avvicinato agli Azzurri circa 23-24 anni fa e come preparatore era la mia passione, i miei studi mi portavano a quello, e come allenatore anche per tanti anni. E poi c'è stato dei cambiamenti e la società ha voluto che diventassi presidente. È stato un po' all'inizio una sofferenza per me, perché lasciavo la mia grande passione per prendere un'altra poi, perché diventa una passione anche questa. Questa è molto più impegnativa tutto l'anno, perché ti richiede l'impegno veramente tutto l'anno e tutti i giorni, però lo fa con grande sacrificio e con grande soddisfazione. È una società che merita, un gruppo di ragazzi che meritano e diamo tutto quello che possiamo dare. Indubbiamente preparare un anno come questo è molto più difficile che prepararlo negli anni passati, eccetera, perché per tutti i motivi che sappiamo. È stato un sacrificio, un peso enorme, mentale e fisico da parte di tutti, e comunque bene, siamo arrivati in fondo per fortuna, e devo ringraziare tutta la società e tutti i ragazzi che hanno fatto dei sacrifici anche sotto il caldo, anche sotto 40 gradi per allenarsi, eccetera. E sì che insomma orgogliosissimo di essere presidente degli Azzurri e vediamo dove la strada ci porta. Ma
So Maurizio told us that first of all he's really proud to represent the Azzurri, and he's been working for the team for a long time, and after more than 20 years he was able to become president. It's stressful sometimes, but he's very proud, especially because this group was able to work together in a difficult year like this one. They weren't sure to play this final this summer, so they trained during the summer under 40 degrees, but they are here and they're here to fight, so we will see tomorrow.
Okay, so welcome back. Apologies on my end because apparently we had issues with the audio, and the drums apparently created some problems with the microphone that I was handling on the field. So I didn't say anything important anyhow. I was just complaining that I can't play this year, so nothing important. So I have, Nicole, I hadn't had the chance to give my congrats for your world title that in MMA in the AFL belt in October of last year, right?
Thank you so much. Yes, I won my world title during the AFL event. It was the first event, the female-only event in Europe, so it was a great honor to headline that card and to win my belt during that night.
Great, and you have to help me out because obviously Nicole is the first time at the Calcio Storico, and but she's obviously an expert in all the fighting techniques, so she's definitely going to help me out. You're going to definitely help me out on analyzing the fights that are going to be going on the field, and then probably today, knowing the two colors are very, very ruthless, and there's going to be definitely a very physical game. At least that's what it seems like.
Of course, I'm going to help you analyze all the fighting aspects of this game, but you have to explain me the rules, because it's my first time watching a game of Calcio Storico. So it's a great honor for me to be here today. And Dario, you gotta help me out. You gotta teach me all the rules.
I'll do my best. I mean, honestly, the rules are not that many, to be honest. So basically, they call them the gentleman rules that obviously then have been written and applied as full regimental rules, but it starts from not hitting from behind and not striking people on the ground. And when I mean, I have to underline the striking because you're allowed to take people to the ground. There's no ground and pound. There's no finalizations on the ground.
But you are allowed to strike with hands and feet. So
everything.
Punches and kicks and takedowns, everything's allowed.
Everything. Elbows, knees, just headbutts are not allowed.
Okay, so no headbutts, no ground and pound.
No ground and pound, even if. And we're probably going to see that. There is occasions in where the referees have to intervene because people on the ground don't really, it's hard. I mean, I've been in the field many years, and I know it's hard sometimes when you're engaged with someone and then just stopping yourself when you're on the ground. Sometimes it goes a little further. So the referees are there to check that. The ground and pound on the ground, the blows from behind, and kicking people on the ground can bring, if seen by the refs, disqualifications. Thank you.
So which one are the main common fouls that happen during the game?
All of these above.
Okay.
Okay. No. Yes, there is. It depends every year how the game. Some games are much more correct. Some can get a little more rumble-ish. It really depends how the game is what kind of line the game is gonna take.
So the rivalry is real. It's not something made up just for the game. It's something very deep and profound and ancient that goes between the neighborhood and Florence, right?
Exactly. The rivalry is. There are some colors that have rivalry more than others, but obviously there's only 4 of them. So it goes back to the ancient times where. The 4 colors represent the 4 old churches and obviously the neighborhood. So back in the days, the neighborhoods would have a stronger rivalry than today, but even today, maybe not as much during the year, but when we get close to the game and obviously right after the game, the rivalry stands in the field and even outside in the sense that once you played with someone and you don't want to have dinner with him the same night, it's kind of normal, I think.
So in Florence, the calcianti are seen like heroes. Like it seems that people here really worship them and look at them like true warriors. And it's just amazing how the city embraces the spirit of this game. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, we have to, even for our listeners, we have to understand that all these players do this just for the glory of Florence and for the glory of the neighborhood. There's no money involved. There's no prizes. Actually, we were talking about it before with Nicole, and she figured out it was really funny and nice that the real prize of the winner is a cow. And we'll explain why.
I'm really happy that the cow doesn't get killed.
Absolutely not.
It totally makes sense in ancient time that the neighborhood winning the cow, will feed all the people of the neighborhood with the cow. But right now, everybody gets their food, so I'm really happy that the cow gets home safe.
Yes, we have to make sure this is very clear for everyone. The cow is probably the same cow in the past 20 years. I mean, the cow is symbolic because obviously back in the ancient times, in the 14 and 1500s, the cow obviously would have been eaten because the meat at the time was a very precious thing. So the winners would have the cow, and then the whole neighborhood would set out tables in their neighborhood and eat meat that at the time was very, very precious. Nowadays, the cow is the same one, and once she's done having the little catwalk on the Piazza Santa Croce, goes back to the home, and she waits for the next year to do another catwalk.
Just so I can explain to our listeners, I've been personally checking on the cow before the event started, and she is treated really well.
She's nice and fat.
Yeah, she's been groomed, she's been washed, she's been really taken care of. So the cow is not getting mistreated.
Okay, that's important. That's very important, Nicole. But no, of course, it is symbolic, and that symbol, like everything as you're seeing in the images, it's been reproduced as it was back in the days. So the prize stayed the same that it was back in the days, and again, it's symbolic. So no one have to worry about the cow. So now maybe we should get in a little bit.
So I'm seeing a lot of characteristic costumes. So who are the people on the field right now? I see some people with flags, some people with drums. Can you explain me a little bit about the other characters, not just the calcianti ones?
Well, this is a very, very complicated thing. Then I'm not the right person to explain. That's why we had the interview before with Filippo Giovannelli. This is Il Calcio Storico, and it reproduces all the customs that we had since the 1400s, and all the symbolic characters are still here today. Now we're gonna have to listen what the Azzurri team said to prepare this game, and now the Verdi will listen to them and see what they got to say to prepare this game.
We're here with Roberto Torrini, the president of the team Verdi, and I wanted to ask you, in the first place, how did you prepare in the role that you are as a president, this final match in this challenging year, and a little bit of your history as a president? Quindi quello che voglio chiederti in qualità di presidente, come è andata quest'annata così diversa, così difficile, e poi come vi siete appunto preparati, ma anche a livello di tuo trascorso come presidente, come è nato, diciamo.
Allora, io sono nei Verdi da 40 anni, di cui 26 da calciante e il resto da dirigente. Quindi so come funziona essendo un calciante e essendo un dirigente. Io ho sempre preferito fare il calciante che il dirigente. Il dirigente è molto più impegnativo. Poi un'annata come questa, che invece di giocare a giugno abbiamo giocato a settembre, poi un anno particolare, difficile per tutti, è stata per noi molto impegnativa perché abbiamo cambiato tutta la preparazione atletica dei ragazzi, una cosa è giocare a giugno e una cosa è giocare a settembre, quindi siamo allenati ad agosto e poi c'è tutta la parte burocratica che si è tutto concentrato negli ultimi 15 giorni, da visite mediche, da permessi in comune, da permessi dei tribunali, insomma è stato tutto molto complicato.
So to sum up, he told that it's been very difficult, especially over the past few months, because if we talk about all the organization process, a lot of offices and in general organization were closed, were shut down, and they had to really prepare for this big match without the help of organizations and offices around the city. And concerning his experience as president, he told us that he has been a calciante player for 26 years, but now he is embracing this new challenge as president, and it's pretty difficult, especially in 2021 with this pandemic going on, but he is still here and proud to represent the Verdi. So we are here with Coach Gerardo, and I wanted to ask you, how did you prepare for this final match after this challenging year as a coach in the first place, and then how did you become a coach of the Verdi? In primis, quindi volevo domandarti come vi siete preparati alla sfida di domani in un periodo che è stato comunque difficile, in un anno sicuramente diverso da tutti gli altri, e il tuo percorso che ti ha portato a diventare oggi allenatore dei Verdi.
Bene, non è stato semplice perché questo non è assolutamente il nostro periodo di allenamento, noi ci alleniamo in genere da febbraio a giugno, quest'anno invece siamo andati avanti per arrivare a settembre. Il periodo è difficile perché c'è agosto nel mezzo, e quindi bene o male i ragazzi devono fare anche le loro ferie, soprattutto in un periodo come questo che insomma non è stato semplice per loro. Il mio percorso io ho fatto il calciante per tanti anni, poi dopo ho fatto l'alfiere ho fatto il capitano e da 7 anni sono allenatore dei Verdi.
So he told us that the preparation has been very difficult because they had to start their practicing period in February, and it's not usual that the final match is played in September. So the players had to really have their vacation time, and they weren't really ready to play this final match in September. And concerning his history, he started as a player, as a calciante, then became a bishop, and then he became the coach. So this is actually, this happened gradually, that he became coach.
All right, so we're back. So I cannot help you with all the characters on the square right now, as I said before, and I apologize for that, but I'm being always a calciante. And even once you get in this square, usually the least of the problem is the people around you. You know very well it's the same thing when you're getting the cage fighting. Everything around just goes blur, and it's just, you go black. So,
of course, it has to be really weird for you after playing for all these years, finding yourself on the outside of the field. Of course, like, it happened to me sometimes commentating MMA, and it feels like so, I mean, I'm so excited when I watch the fights, so I can't even imagine what you're feeling right now.
I know you feel me, and now there's we'll interrupt just a second because the salute to the boys, and I think we should just listen, and we'll explain later. So obviously, sorry, but as a calciante, this is a sacred moment, and I'll explain you exactly what it's all about. It's the old salute that the players would give to the authorities, and in this case, the Magnifico Messere, that is the main authority during the game. So it's a very, very important moment, and for us, it's kind of like almost, pass me the word, a religion. So
sacred moment,
yes,
of course.
Exactly. So,
so Dario, I have a question.
No, I just want to tell you, Sam. I want to clarify something. I'm not sure that I'm not going to play ever again. So okay. I'm not a former calciante yet. I'm thinking about it. For now, I'm just disqualified, and I don't want to get into that. But yeah, it's hard to get disqualified in this game, but I managed to do that. And but. Well, I'm not. I don't want to feel myself forming it. Just to clarify, because I don't feel bad.
Fair enough. But Dario, I have an important question. As a fighter, my main concern is that these guys are not wearing gloves. So they're about to be fighting, face punching each other with bare hands.
Exactly. It's bare knuckles. We are allowed only to have your wrist.
Some tape on your wrist.
Taped on the wrist. Thank you. Help me out with the words sometimes, because just for everyone, we're not obviously American or English, so we're doing our best. We're doing our best. Yes, you're allowed to have your wrist taped, and the earpiece. Sorry, the mouthpiece. You don't really need an earpiece. A mouthpiece and a suspender. So that's all you're allowed.
Wow.
The knuckles have to be free. because the referees will check on your knuckles so that you with no taping around it, so make sure. Back up to about 10 years ago, they still allowed, for a period, they're allowed to tape their hands, but then they decided to go back to the old ancient rules, and the hands have to be free and bare. Yeah.
So no shin guards, no gloves, just a groin cup, mouthpiece, and a little piece of tape to protect the wrist.
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
actually you have a good point. You have shin guards if you want to wear them, but you wear the shin pads like soccer players, like in soccer. So it's mainly to avoid when you get, maybe they'll kick you while you're running, and they'll just to protect your shins, but as you know, if they're hard. If you kick someone with that kind of shin pads, it could be, not very nice to be hit with a shin pad.
No, for sure.
So now as you see, the players are getting facing each other in the center court, and are waiting for all the Corteo Storico to leave. And once they leave the pitch, we'll be starting the rumble. So they're getting closer. They're starting to.
The stare down, it's even more intense than the stare down of the fights.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It's exactly the same. You draw a great paragon. It's like when you do the stare down, but you just do it before the fights. We do it you do it the day before or the morning before. We do it just seconds before. So this is a moment where you try to see in the the opponent. And I'm sure the same thing happens in MMA, to see if there's a glance of fear that you can work on right away. And as any fight sport, I think, and it's about the psychological part. It's extremely important,
of course,
because that's the first aspect that can bring your opponent down.
Of course, the last stare down before the fight, when the referee calls you to repeat the rules right before the fight starts, that's the moment when you look for a piece of breakage in the eyes of your opponent. So I can totally feel the emotions of these guys right now, staring into each other's eyes with such an intensity that they are trying to psychologically break their opponent in this exact moment right before the game starts. And it's something of a crazy intensity to witness.
You're right. It's very intense, and I can tell you as an experience, this is the longest moment of the game. When you start,
of course,
when you start lining up in the middle in front of your opponent, and about 2, 3, 4 minutes go by, and those minutes are incredibly
endless.
long.
I know.
Incredibly long, and that's even when. Part of fear kicks in, because I want to make sure that this is clear to everyone. I myself and all my fellow calcianti, the real people that have been in this game for a long time, always say that after 15, 20 years you come you set foot on this pitch, every year you have that bit of fear in you that needs to be there. Needs to be there to make sure that that keeps you awake, will keep you, make sure you do the right thing,
It's being in the face of fear and not in the lack of is what makes a true warrior. So being able to face your fears and fight with fear in your heart, it's what makes you like a true gladiator, a true warrior.
Absolutely.
And these guys have it all.
It's
like, look at the intensity of the stare down. It's just
so
something
as you see, we're almost ready. The groups are ready, kind of getting in front of each other, and they're separating.
How many calcianti are for each team?
There's 27 against 27, so there's a lot of people in there. It's 54 people, and it can get. That's how it's very different from your sport. This is the main reason. There's so many people that they can come from all over the place. And you got to have eyes in the back of your head to make sure that to make it out with your own feet, with your own legs from here. So let's see. We're getting ready. The tension is starting to rise, and now we're waiting when Il Pallaio, that is the ref that is entitled to throw the ball on the air, and it's going to be. There's going to be a jump to get the ball, kind of like a basketball, just to draw a paragon, to get the ball, and then whoever has the ball. We'll see what happens. Starting immediately strong.
There's already people on the ground. There's already people fighting.
The ball is in the Greens' hands. So Greens control the ball right now. Now, as you see, we're going to try to give you a good example of having both. In the screen, we're going to have the screen separated in two, so we can see the one-on-one fighting, and
so
on
it's
the other
incredible
side,
to see that the guy with the ball is almost alone, and there's like so much ground fighting going on, so much grappling.
Exactly. Just to clarify, the reason why the fights are so fierce is because there are no substitution in the game. So
so they try to take them out, so there's less of the opponent in the opponent's team.
Every person that get hurt to a point that it cannot keep on playing will have to leave the pitch, and
so for how long can they be on the ground? Do they get stand
they don't
up?
have.
Or they
don't
just
have,
hold them down.
Yeah, they can stay there until the ball is there is a caccia or the ball goes out. They can stay on the ground as much as they want. So now there might be some arguments for probably a player of the Verdi, and this is Ottimi. I think he's being expelled.
There's people bleeding already.
Well, that's we're gonna have to get used to that.
Yeah, it's just like 1 minute in the game and there's already people bleeding.
Yes,
they
Matteo
have expelled.
Ottimi. Yeah, Matteo Ottimi from the Green has been expelled. And if I'm not mistaken, it's because he kicked someone while he was on the ground. We didn't really see the images perfectly, but now there's a contention for the ball, but the ball is still in the Greens' hands. So let's see what happens now. They're trying to push. The Greens are trying to push a little bit in front to gain some space on the field. There's one of the Green players seems has a problem with his knee. He's limping right now. Okay, yeah, it's getting as we predicted. The game is.
Okay, there's one guy running with the ball.
Yeah, the Greens are trying to go. It's been stopped. Now the game is going to start. The ball's going to start from there with the possessions of the Greens. And a lot of things going on right now, so it's hard to see everything. The ball is back in the Greens' hands. Let's see what they can do. They're still, now it's trying again. The Greens are trying again to go inside. And they lost the ball, and the Azzurri have the ball right now.
The Azzurri team has captured the ball, and they're trying to kick it back in the opposite part of the field.
Now the ball was kicked, so let's bear in mind that the ball can be touched with every part of your body. So you can use hands, you can use feet. There's anything, you can move the ball around as the way you want.
I Verdi have the ball again.
Yes.
And they're trying to go over the midfield.
Now the Verdi are trying again. Let's see. Giovanni Prezioso. Yes.
And
the Greens
scored.
are ahead. One caccia. Caccia, when the score is called caccia, now there's going to be the change of the field on the opposite side. Every time you score, the teams invert the field positions.
So the Verdi did the first caccia, and now they're going to have to score in the opposite net. Am I correct?
Yes. Now there's a big rumble, starting a fight in the middle. Marcello Trotta of the blue.
Fight in the middle.
I hit one of the Greens from behind, and it's getting really rough right now. The refs are trying to put things back in place. You know, now the ball is back in play. Let's see what happens. Who goes the ball?
I saw some ground and pound action. If the
I told you.
referee sees that, they're going to disqualify the...
Yes. Now I've seen one of the Azzurri hit one of the Verdi that is still on the ground right now that we can't see on the monitor, but it's still on the ground, and he's been hit from behind. And if the ref would have seen that, it was being disqualified. I don't know if they managed to see that. But, you know, this is part of the game. So no big, things that happened. Here we're seeing again the catch shot by Giovanni Prezioso. He fakes, he goes left, and he just deposits the ball in the back of the net. So it's 1-0, but the game is really tough. The game is really tough on both sides.
Yeah, here we see the replay of the caccia.
Great job by Giovanni Prezioso, very quick, very intelligent.
A lot of change of angles, a lot of movement on the feet.
So for now,
it might seem like a fight, but it's actually really technical because these guys are running on the sand.
Yes, it's hard to run. You know better than others that how hard it is to move and imagine on the sand. You know, that's why there's not a lot of
running on the sand, wrestling on the sand.
Yes.
It's just crazy. Try to stand up with your feet slipping on the sand. It's really, really tough.
Not a lot of kicking even for this reason, because it's hard to raise. You know, your kicks will go slower. You know better than anyone else. So
and you lose your balance
exactly.
by kicking. But I'm seeing a lot of kicks still. They are still punching and kicking really hard.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the beginning that it is going to be a really tough game, and you know it's exactly what we expected.
So the rules say that in order to engage in a fight, you have to stand up in front of your opponent with your guard up. Am I right?
No, you don't need to have your guard up. You better have your guard up.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
No, it's not you.
Fair enough.
Everyone can hit you anytime except from behind, and sideways. It's kind of tricky because that's up to the refs.
Of course.
You know, but definitely not from behind, and not on the ground. And a bit of these things we're already seeing happen as we predicted, because it's hard to stick to the rules right now when this kind of in these conditions, in this adrenaline and
so many fighters on the ground and few beautiful exchanges in the middle of the field. We can see right now.
Yeah, the Azzurri is holding the ball right now. They're thinking. There's a lot of static.
The ball is in the hands of the Azzurri, but most of the action is happening middle field where Verdi and Azzurri are fighting.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's the fights to keep on breaking here and there. It's very important for the lines of the teams to be compact, to stay close one another, because if you start moving out and separating too much, you're much more vulnerable to your opponents. So
why do the guys on the ground do not try to stand up?
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes it's just.
They're just tired.
They're just tired, and it's usually when you're holding the ball on your possession, having the people on the ground, it's an advantage, because the ball carrier has a better view of where he can run with the ball to get on the opposite side and score a caccia. So it's a little more penalizing if you're defending. You prefer standing up because you're more mobile. You can go and close holes in order to try to stop the ball to go past you. So now, you know, the big start, you know, the big fighting at the beginning seems to calm down a little bit. It's just going to be probably for not for long, but for now,
we
you know.
can see that the ball is now in possession of the Azzurri team, and there's like a few boxing exchanges at the middle of the field.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy dripping blood from his nose.
Well, you know, obviously you do. This is one of the downsides of it. Obviously, you get cut very easy. Bare knuckles. It's very easy to get cut, and but you know, it's part of the game. These guys are used to it, and people shouldn't get too worried about them. Now they're starting. The Azzurri are trying to figure out, you know, to find a hole to
the
run in.
Trying to find a break to go through with the ball.
Yes, and I mean, the game just started with just 10 minutes into the game. I remember all the audience is 50 minutes, and it's a long 50 minutes, especially when the game starts like this. it's very hard to, you know.
There's almost like 15 couples on the ground.
Yeah.
So half of the people playing are right now on the ground.
Yes, you see, they're holding them down.
Yes, they're controlling the wrist, exactly like
yeah,
you would do in a grappling match or in an MMA fight.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to have the control. You never know, especially the guy on the ground could hit you. Obviously, it's not intelligent if you're under, because you will probably get hit right back, but it happens. So now the Azzurri are thinking of throwing the ball, and there it is. They threw the ball above the defenders of the Greens, and then one of the Azzurri forward picked up the ball and put it inside the caccia. So it's 1-1 right now. The teams are changing. Field size once again. Fights are breaking out again. Let's see who's going to get the ball.
So now the score is 1-1.
Exactly, 1-0, yes. As you see, he lobbed the ball. The defender of the Green did not manage to get it. He picks up the ball and just deposited it inside. So the ball is back in the Green's hands right now. And we're not seeing it right now, but...
Oh, no, we're seeing a replay right now.
Yes.
The ball's right now is in a Verdi team's hand.
So the lines
Boxing
are starting...
exchanges in the middle field.
Yeah, the lines are starting to break up. There's a lot of one-on-one right now. And on the opposite side where we're commentating, there's another little big fight started. You know, there's a lot of boxing going on right now.
I even saw a couple of low kicks.
Yeah. You know, it's the knees are always the knees. You know.
Yes.
You know they hurt, and if you deliver a good low kick to the knee, especially on the sand, it could
blow out your knee.
Yes,
so
and it happens. Unfortunately, happens very often. So
what are the most common injuries during the sport, except from cuts and bruises, of course?
Yeah, you get a lot of face fractures, so noses, jaws, and eye sockets, and but it does happen even in you know, in sometimes knees and elbows, and you know.
But I'm seeing at the same time a lot of sportsmanship. So the men that are on the ground, they're giving water to each other. They're helping each other clean their faces from sand.
Yeah, so a lot of times are the helpers, or what they're called spugnaioli, of each team that help them out. But sometimes, yeah, we do both of it. You know, once you're on the ground, you're bleeding. Even especially if you have the one on top of you bleeding on you, you may want to make sure that if you're under, you're not bled in the face. So you ask him to clean him up, so you don't have his blood dripping on you. And it's kind of like what happens in MMA. Obviously, there you can't stop and wash your face, but we do. At least that we can.
Okay.
So the Azzurri right now are holding on the ball and waiting. As I said, it's very normal that in this game the ball is very static and it goes back and forth.
I'm seeing some really beautiful, crisp exchanges in boxing. Like the boxing of some of these guys is just amazing. Super fast hands.
Yeah.
They're technical. Like most of them are really good boxers.
Yeah, most of the first line that plays on the first line most of them are that are called innanzi. It's the first line basically. The one that plays further up. Most of them are all boxers. Some of them are even professional boxers. So you know. So
the main sports where these guys are coming from are boxing, rugby, wrestling.
Exactly. Great question. Basically, the first two lines, the teams usually now it's hard to see once the game starts, but the teams are usually set up with the first line. There's about 15 of them. Usually, obviously, the numbers can change, but usually there's 15 in the front. Then there's what they call the sconciatori. There's the second lines that are both. Even these guys are usually fighters. So the first and the second line are usually boxers, MMA, or anyhow strikers. Then you go to the third and the fourth line. Usually are rugby players because they need to tackle, and they need to run with the ball. Oh yes. So unfortunately we didn't see that, but
There's a guy that has been thrown
yes.
outside of the field.
One of the Greens picked up one of the Azzurri, sorry, Verdi, I keep on saying English, but we have to call them with the right names. One of the Verdi team picked up one of the Azzurri and threw him literally out of the pitch. And that's,
is it legal?
It's legal, and it's very offending for who gets thrown out. It's a big...
it's humiliating.
Yeah. It's not very light, I gotta say.
So I saw a guy that actually has a wrap around his face. They wrapped up his nose.
They're running in, yes. And the Azzurri,
scored. And the Azzurri scored again.
Yes, the Azzurri scored again. And they're changing the field again. So it's 2-1 Azzurri. And they're changing the field. Again, every time they score, they invert the field positions. Let's see the replay. He's thinking, he's seeing the hole. The team, the Verdi defense is not well prepared, is not ready to stop him, and the Azzurri scores the 2-1.
I'm seeing a lot of guillotines as a technique to hold the opponent down.
Yes, it's a good, it's a very good way to keep people down, make sure they don't move. If they start moving around, you choke a little bit and we'll stop right away. So now the ball is back in the Greens' hands. The game, as we said, is very physical. So now it's even if we're...
I love the sportsmanship that sometimes people on the ground are calling help for the guy that they're keeping down just because he's bleeding.
Yeah.
They're throwing water on each other's face because they're bleeding so much.
There's a lot of blood today, yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of cuts.
I'm seeing a lot of broken noses.
Of cuts.
There's a guy that actually has half of his face wrapped up because his nose is destroyed.
Yeah, he's a very well-known guy from the Azzurri. His nickname is the Seagull. And he's a veteran of this game, and he's not going to go up. Even if probably has his nose broken, he just wraps up and keeps on going. No one really leaves the field unless has a very, very serious injury. This is part of the soul of a calciante is never leave the team alone. So unless you're really impossible, for you it's impossible to go ahead with the game, you stay in the field and you try to give your contribute to the team until the last second.
Yeah, the guy we were talking about just standed face to face with another guy, and they're banging.
Yeah, so you see there still the fights are going on. And,
yeah,
and
a lot of action going on.
Yeah. So we're about 20 minutes into the game, so almost halfway, and the teams are ready, are tired.
The ball is in the hands of the Verdi.
Yes.
While in the middle field, there's like heavy exchanges.
Yes, we see, even as you see, we see right here, one of the Greens is cut and he's wearing a big bandage on his face. Now there's some problems even with some of the staff of the Verdi that the Azzurri came and tried to hit one of the Verdi. Now the big rumble in the middle. There's been a lot of hitting, a lot of nuts.
The ball is not even in the middle of this rumble. Like they took the ball away.
Yes.
So the guys dressed in black and red are the referees.
Yes, but I'm trying to understand.
So the referees threw the ball. The ball is right now in a...
Yeah, because it's a contended, what we call a contended ball. So they throw it back in the air, and whoever grabs it, it's his ball. So let's try to clarify a little bit. There's been...
Okay, so the ambulance came in with a stretcher, and they're actually taking somebody away with a stretcher while the Verdi are holding the ball.
Yes.
One of the calciante from Verdi is getting taken away in a stretcher.
Yes. Unfortunately, this is always things you really don't want to see, and we hope he's going to be fine. Now there's been another disqualification for the greens. I'm trying. Sorry, but we're trying to understand what's going on. It's a very concentrated moment right now. So another green player has been expelled. We're trying to understand who. Oh yes. Francesco Manzanella has been expelled. we haven't really seen what happened, but it's hard even for for our cameras to pick up everything that goes on. So we're trying to tell you the best we can what's going on even outside of the images, because
so I just witnessed one of the referee telling two guys to stand up, and they were like standing up, keeping their guard up, like you would disengage in a clinch during a fight. Like
exactly.
They stood up, ready to fight.
Oh, you can do that. The ref will ask you if you want to stand up, and if you're free to.
And they were like standing up, ready to bang.
Yes. The ref will make sure that you'll get
so
up.
Right
and then
now
let you
the
go.
ball has been thrown in the air.
Right, the Azzurri got it again.
It's in the hands of the Azzurri, and they're trying to score again.
Yes. Yes,
and they scored.
Yeah. So it's 3-1. It's 3-1. Obviously, you have to bear in mind that it's very hard. Now the Verdi are 3 down because one has been taken out of the stretcher, 2 have been expelled. So basically the team is playing with 3 players less, and this is due to the nature of the game. Is very hard because it's a mathematical game. If everyone goes on a man, there's always going to be 2 or 3 men free.
So there's an injured guy and a
2
few
have been
expelled.
Yes. So now one of the Azzurri have been expelled. So we're back. Now the Azzurri are 2 up in men-wise. So it's 24 against 26 right now on the field. And we're starting again. They're lining up again. The ball is in the Green's hands. And up there, they're still fighting on the first line. We can see that the willing to fight never ends, and this is the.
These guys are so tough. Like something you can see from television is how hot it is here, and how hot it is to play in a sand.
Yeah, it is. It's very true.
So these guys are wearing wool clothes under the bright sun, doing like very tough activity.
Yeah, that's the other aspect. It gets really, really hot. Today it is hot. It's not sometimes. I have to be honest. In June, usually it's even worse in some days. So I played some games that were incredibly hot, 40 degrees Celsius, and we have to bear in mind that there's no fans today due to obviously the year that we went through, and so when the fans are here, you have all the stands, and the stands will make the thing even the pitch even hotter and more humid, and it's harder, and it's even harder.
Of course, blocking all the air.
Yes.
So the ball right now is in Verdi's hands.
Yes, the Azzurri are trying to chase him. Yeah, so it's a contended ball. They're going to throw the ball up in the air once again. So the ball is back in the green, in the Verdi's hand. And let's see if they can try to close up the gap. It's 3-1. We're 26 minutes to go. And the problem for the Verdi is that they're down 2 men, and this is very hard, especially with such a physical game like today. Being 2 men down in the personnel is really, really hard.
Not an ounce of quit in these guys. Look at them, just standing in front of each other, keep banging, keep running, and keep bleeding.
Yeah, yeah. This is the heart of these guys. You never give up, and no matter how bad you're injured, no matter how down you are in the score, you'll keep on coming. You keep on fighting. You keep on standing up and trying to give your best. You're 110%, and this is what these guys are doing on both sides.
I'm actually impressed by the technical level of the fighting here. I was
Now the Azzurri just lob the ball, and the Azzurri player is alone. This is exactly, they score again. This is exactly
score again.
This is exactly what I was trying to tell you. When you're 2-man down, it's a mathematical, it's math basically. You know, there's always going to be 1 or 2 men free, and if they're cold enough to see the game and to throw the ball to that player, he's always going to be alone and score very easily, like he did just in this case.
I was expecting to see way more brawling, but these guys are so good with their hands. Oh my God. There's a guy that has been hit in the back of the head, and it's like lying on the ground now.
Yeah, it's probably,
We're watching a replay of the Caccia.
Yes, you see he was all alone.
While there's a massive fight in the middle field.
Yeah, you see, as I said, you know, all alone, and this is what happens when you're down with men. Now they're trying to go, let's see what they're trying to find, carrying the ball, Verdi with Cesare Cagliazzo. He's trying to find a hole, he's putting on himself, but it's very hard. There's no spaces, the Azzurri are closing very well all the holds. They're fighting very well, they're playing very well. They're, you know, again, they're up 2 men, so it's a bit easier, but they're playing a very smart game. Now again, they're going, he's probably alone, he's going to score again.
And yes,
and this
they
is a blowout.
scored another Caccia.
Unfortunately for the Verdi, this is a blowout. They're playing, the Azzurri are playing the game they have to play. They know they're up with people.
The Verdi are being outnumbered by the Azzurri, who are taking over.
So now the ball is contended again.
But the fighting never stops.
No, the fight will go on. The fighting, this is the...
There's some people that seems like they don't even, some calcianti don't even look for the ball.
Well, some of them, the front people, let's clarify this. The front lines, they don't have to look for the ball.
Okay.
If in training you go out there and you're a first lineman and you're trying and you look for the ball, your coach will eat you alive, because it's exactly what you don't have to do, because that will give a chance to whoever stand in front of you to you be vulnerable to be hit. So your eyes always has to be on the players in front, and the ball has to be handled by the people that are meant to handle the ball.
Okay, so there are some roles to be respected.
Absolutely.
So there are some calcianti that have to take care of scoring the Caccia, and some that just have to fight.
Exactly. So if you starting from the back end of the field, you have I datori indietro, that are basically the goalkeepers and the ball carriers.
Oh, okay. And there's 4 for each team.
Those numbers can really, it really depends on the coach and how he wants to. And the Azzurri are going again. Yeah, you know, it's very hard to control it right now.
And the Azzurri scored another Caccia.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself, but this is due to the outnumbering.
They are being outnumbered. The Verdi are being outnumbered.
So again, sorry, I'll finish my. Oh, we're seeing the replay. Yeah, Bobo. And he just passes nice and easy.
He kisses the ball and blesses the ball and scored the Caccia for his team.
Yeah, Azzurri, now they're up 5-1 if I'm not mistaken. It's tough for the Verdi. 6-1, sorry, 6-1. So, yeah, well, to clarify the positions, you really don't have, you can change, the numbers can really change, but you can have the goalies, the datori indietro. The datori innanzi are usually what we consider the tacklers, and so usually these are the rugby players who we're talking about. The sconciatori that are the mid people, and usually they're fighters, usually MMA, because they need to know how to do a little both. Real wrestling and a little bit of striking. And usually 15 or down that number of the innanzi, that are the people that stand in front and as we strike the whole game without worrying at all about the ball.
So actually half of the team does not worry about the ball.
Probably more than half.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's
fair enough.
You have to when you stand on the front line and you're fighting, you have to be very concentrated on on the vision you have in front, because they can come, as we said before, they can come everywhere. And yeah, here they go again. They're just going And this is 7-1. The Azzurri are in total control, and it's now it's very hard
Is
even
there
to stay on the
limit
field.
score, or they can just keep going like?
Unfortunately not. And this is, I know as a calciante, when you get in games like this and you go down this much, it's very hard to stay on the field. But these guys do it anyhow. It's to show that their courage, their honor, even if they're down 7-1, they're still going to be fighting. They're still going to try to give their best. And this is something we got to prize these guys, because it's something that a lot of sports, not yours, but a lot of other sports should probably learn on the courage and the sacrifice and the dedication these guys give.
If we think about how many guys throw themselves on the ground during soccer games, they fake injuries. These guys are involved in brutal fights, and there's not a single one of them complaining. They're bleeding, they have broken bones, and they keep on going, which is something that soccer should learn from this sport.
And I agree with you. And just to make it clear, most of these people, and the
Azzurri are going again. Another catch-up for the Azzurri.
It's 8-1, and it's a blowout. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for the Verdi, because it's a great team.
Mentally, it's breaking to know that
and it's
you're
hard.
Like
It's imagine to keep on fighting. We still got around 15 minutes to go, and to be. I've been there. I've been in a final a couple of years ago against the Rossi. I was down 8-1, and. Now there's a big rumble.
God. Yeah, they've been head kicking each other.
Yeah, they've been. There's been. I'm sorry, but we're checking because it's happening out of the monitor.
There's a guy that jumped out of the blue to punch a grounded opponent.
They've been kicking people on the ground, and
they've been kicking their heads.
Got a little ugly.
Yeah, it got dirty.
Azzurri still
and the Azzurri go at it again.
Yeah,
it's like one of the Azzurri guy that has been grounded, kicked, and punched on the ground.
Yeah, and well, again, let's stick to what's happening, on the field. I know it's hard to comment right now because the game is so far out for the Azzurri that there's no way to come back for the Verdi, but let's prize the fact that they're still in there. They're still fighting hard. They're still trying to keep their honor, stand for their honor.
The Azzurri are going at it again.
Yeah. We're seeing the replay, but at this point, I think it's more interesting to see the one-on-one fights because the game it's 9-1. It's very hard to be on the field when you're down this much.
So there's a guy with a flag that's next to the grounded opponents. So what is his role?
Well, that's called the alfiere, and basically every time that there's a change in the field, he moves the flag from one side to the other of the opposite field to show that that's the ground that they're defending. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're about 16 minutes out of the end of this game, and it's hard to stay on the field right now for the guys because it's really hard. Everyone is injured, and bear in mind, Nicole, that there's apart from the injuries that you see, most of these guys end up breaking all their hands. So most of these guys are fighting with broken hands, broken fingers when you get to this point of the game.
And I'm seeing a lot of broken noses as well. That it's not just the pain, but it's just it makes it impossible to breathe. The sand, the blood, the broken bones. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And it's a long way. 50 minutes. It's very, very long.
It's 50 minutes without breaks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's these guys. I feel them. I've been in there. I know what it means. And in games like this, you just can't wait that it's over because it's really hard to stay in there.
So we still have 15 minutes to go to the game.
Yeah, as you see now, they're gonna slow down a bit. And the Azzurri now are just controlling the game. They're probably gonna try to score again. They're scoring right now, and this is the situation where the game, in my opinion, should be over, and they should interrupt the game due to the fact that these guys are keeping on getting keep on fighting, and the Verdi are really undernumbered, and to get such a punishment on the score, I think is not right. It's hard. It's hard, to stay on the pitch in these conditions. So there's a lot of injuries right now. A lot of people that are probably, even the Azzurri, I see the injured people are trying, as we see them limping. They're probably going to try to leave the pitch, even because they're winning. The score is so high for them. They're winning by so much that the injured players can't even afford to leave the pitch. And but a lot of them don't, even if they're very, very badly injured. But again, it's really hard to go on like this.
Another caccia for the Azzurri. We just watched the replay, so we're 10-1. It's amazing to witness the first liners of the Verdi team just standing straight with their fists up, ready to bang, ready to fight. There's not a single ounce of quit in them.
No, that's I think what I hope that whoever is following us feels this, understands how difficult and how much honor and courage you need to do to stay in there.
The Azzurri are at it again. Another caccia gets scored right in this moment.
I feel
11th caccia for the Azzurri team.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to comment right now.
Right now it's not anymore a matter of score. It's just a matter of honor. They're just fighting.
Exactly. And these guys are going to stay in there until the end. They don't care how much they lose. They're just going to stay there and try to keep their color up, keep their their honor up. And sorry if I'm keeping using the same words, but I think there's no other words that can define better what these guys can do in this noble game that is really, really ruthless, really, really tough. And again, as a player, I know how hard it is at one point at a game when you've still got almost 13 minutes to go, and it's very hard. So now some of the players are breathing. Everything is slowed down. No one has anymore, maybe even the strength to keep on fighting as strong as the beginning. This has been a very, very tough game. I mean, the fighting has calmed down a little bit now, but we have witnessed good 35 minutes of non-stop fighting.
They should be exhausted.
Yeah.
It's like it's 45 minutes that they're beating the living hell out of each other. So fair enough.
Yeah, so
it's not even a matter of scoring anymore.
Yeah, there's everyone now is walking on the field. No one is walking on the field, and it's a bit of tension here just under our commentary booth because yeah, well, there's been, we haven't seen it, but there's been one of the Verdi player, Posemato, that had gotten into a choke, an anaconda choke. You can help me with that. Standing up with the arm in the middle.
Yes, I guess it's an anaconda choke.
I'm not as good as you, but
yeah,
he
had an arm.
Yeah.
Choke.
And then Azzurri scoring again.
Triangle.
I'm not even going to commentate that because it's pointless. So anyhow, we didn't see that, but we'll try to explain what happened. Basically, one of the Verdi player hold him on a choke, and the ref came in, and he wasn't quick enough to stop him, and
he fainted.
Yeah, the guy fainted, and so now they're taking him out on a stretcher.
So one thing I'd like to explain is that it takes something like 7 seconds, 10 seconds to faint while you have a choke in. So it's like you can fight, but just for selected. So how does it get celebrated? Like, do they lift an arm like in a fight, or they just claim it?
No. You see, they have this.
Okay.
The red flag that is called palio. They're taking around. That's the palio that goes back to the color, and they'll hold it in their headquarters, and it has the date, it has the tournament, and that stands in your headquarters as a trophy. I just want to say something. This was a game that a lot of people hoped that they could break the curse, but the Verdi against the Azzurri haven't. Last time they won a game was in 1968. So since
1968?
Exactly. It's this curse that the Verdi apparently cannot win against the Azzurri, and today was not an exception, unfortunately for them. And you know, the Azzurri celebrate, and you know, they deserve it. So while they're celebrating, we'll see the highlights, and I'll see you in a bit from the pitch to do the closure. Thank you.
I trombetti suonano strumenti senza pistoni.
Generale, quindi vivere
dei sacrifici anche sotto il caldo, anche sotto
530. Preceduti dal Verdi. Azzurri. Azzurra, in cambia campo. Caccia Caccia azzurra, si cambia campo. Azzurri, Caccia azzurra, si cambia campo.
Non serve a niente, ma non serve a niente, non serve a niente, non serve a niente.
Caccia azzurra, si cambia.
Non l'ho visto, stai male, me lo dici dopo, ora non serve a niente, ma non serve a niente, non serve a niente, non serve a niente.
Caccia azzurra, si cambia. Caccia azzurra, si cambia campo. Caccia azzurra, si cambia.
Giova, piglia questo.
Caccia azzurra.
So it's a wrap, it's over, the match is over. It was epic, and did you enjoy the match? What do you think?
Well, I mean, as I said when I was in the booth commentating, you know, I'm just sorry for the Verdi because it's hard to stay in a game when you lose of that much and get to the end. And you know, the game was very, very tough, a lot of fighting. It's nothing special. I mean, it's normal. It's part of the game. But unfortunately, the Verdi went down of 3 men, so it's very hard then to
keep up.
Holes, yeah, to close the holes, to keep up with it. The Azzurri did a great match. They played tough as usual. They're tough people. They're tough players, and all the best for them. They deserve the win.
Okay, so we all enjoyed the match so much, and now it's time to say goodbye for this year. Just for this year.
I hope that we'll see you guys next year. Definitely we'll be here.
Yeah.
So I hope to see you guys next year, and hopefully next year, instead of having just a final, we have all the 3 games, and that will be much more exciting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you from Valentina Repetto.
And Dario Valli.
Thank you. Bye.
di Sciarca Santa Croce. L'appuntamento per tutti è a posizione esclusivamente lui del torneo del Calcio